Japan, 16th century. Dawn breaks over the misty plains of Kawanakajima. 20,000 samurai stand in formation, armor glinting under the pale sunrise. War banners whip in the wind. Drums thunder like rolling storms across the valley. Then, the sky rips open. Two streaks of light descend from the clouds. F-35 Lightning II fighter jets, ghosts from the 21st century, screaming through the air at supersonic speed. The roar of their engines drowns out every sound on the battlefield. Below, thousands of samurai raise their eyes. The reflection of those steel birds dances on their helmets. They do not run. They do not flinch. Bushido, the ancient code of honor, anchors them to the earth. Above, a pilot stares through his visor. His sensors detect no radar signals, no heat signatures from tanks or missiles, only men with bows, blades, and courage. Two worlds collide, one built from silicon and stealth, the other forged in discipline and steel. Who will claim the sky when history and technology crash head-on? Welcome to the impossible war, the F-35 Lightning II versus 20,000 samurai. 1. Imaginary setting. The battlefield between cloud and steel. The air is thick with mist as morning light seeps over the Kawanakajima Valley. Mount Fuji looms in the distance, silent and eternal, watching history twist upon itself. Below, ranks of samurai stretch to the horizon, armor lacquered black, helmets adorned with crests of dragons and moons. Horses snort, soldiers chant. The rhythm of taiko drums rolls like thunder across the plain. Far above, two F-35 seconds glide through the clouds, machines torn from the 21st century, flung into Japan's age of warring states. Their HUD displays flicker, dense human formations, cavalry wings forming, archers preparing volleys. Yet the radar shows nothing. No radio waves, no electronics, only wind, fire, and resolve. Inside the cockpit, the pilots realize this isn't a simulation. It's a paradox made real, a dogfight against time itself. Below, General Takeda Shingen raises his sword skyward. The sun catches the blade, flashing a signal to heaven. The samurai kneel briefly, whispering prayers, then draw their katanas in perfect unison. A sudden gust tears through the valley. Clouds part. For the first time, both worlds see each other clearly. Warriors of flesh and spirit against machines of lightning and code. The F-35 seconds descend, their afterburners howling. Heat waves ripple across banners as arrows are notched and ready. The rules are simple: no reinforcements, no retreat, no surrender. This is not just a battle, it's a collision between centuries. When sky meets earth, something greater than victory is at stake. The definition of power itself. San, the forces, the edge of technology versus the spirit of honor. A, the modern force, F-35 Lightning II. Above the valley hover two F-35 Lightning II jets, the most advanced stealth fighters ever built. Each costs nearly $100 million, a product of digital precision, artificial intelligence, and decades of technological evolution. Beneath their sleek exteriors lie the heart of modern warfare: radar, absorbing skin, adaptive sensors, and the ability to strike unseen. Inside the cockpit, the pilots, Captain Reed and Lieutenant Harris, operate as one mind with their aircraft. The helmet display fuses every element of the battlefield into a single view: heat signatures, elevation, wind, even the faint glimmer of metallic armor below. Their missiles are few: two guided JDAM bombs and a handful of 25mm cannon rounds, enough to destroy a base, but not enough to erase an army of 20,000. Their advantages are clear: range, precision, stealth, and speed. But their weaknesses are just as real: limited fuel, limited ammunition, and an absolute reliance on technology that was never meant for a war of attrition. If the systems fail, if the radar goes blind, they are just men in the sky running out of time. B, The ancient army, samurai of the Sengoku era. On the ground stands the might of feudal Japan, 20,000 samurai drawn from rival clans, but united under the banner of Takeda Shingen. Their ranks stretch like ocean waves across the plain. Archers in the rear rows, pikemen and swordsmen at the front, mounted cavalry on the flanks. They are not a mob, they are disciplined, trained through years of ceaseless war. Each warrior carries a katana for close combat, a yari spear for formation fighting, and the deadly Yumi longbow for long-range volleys. Their armor, layers of lacquered iron and silk cords, glimmers black and red under the sunday. The most elite samurai wear crested helmets shaped like horns or dragons, symbols of courage and spiritual power. They possess no radar, no sensors, no engines, but they have something that no computer can calculate: resolve. The Bushido Code teaches them that death in battle is not defeat, but fulfillment. They march not for conquest, but for honor. Above, two steel predators cloaked in invisibility, scanning with computers faster than thought. Below, 20,000 men breathing in unison, bound by loyalty older than nations. Technology versus tradition, fire versus steel. A single missile could erase hundreds, but if even one samurai reaches a grounded jet, the tide could turn. It is not just a test of power, it is a test of time itself. Can the might of the 21st century overcome the will of the 16th? 4. The battle begins. The sky opens fire. The morning mist has barely lifted when the first strike begins. From 20,000 feet above the valley, the F-35 seconds circle like silent predators, their engines whispering beneath the wind. Inside the cockpit, Captain Reed locks his target, a dense mass of movement below, heat signatures clustered like wildfire. His finger tightens on the trigger. A thunderous explosion splits the valley. The first JDAM bomb hits the ground with surgical precision, and in an instant, 1,000 years of warfare are rewritten. The shockwave flattens banners, horses, and men alike. Armor and dust scatter through the air. The samurai ranks waver, but they do not break. The drummers keep pounding, the commanders shouting from horseback, voices echoing through the smoke. Hold the line, do not fear the sky. Lieutenant Harris dives lower, unleashing a burst from the Gao 22 cannon. Tracer rounds carve red lines through the mist, cutting swaths in the approaching formations. Yet even amid the chaos, the samurai reorganize with eerie discipline. Shield walls rise, archers move forward, and hundreds of arrows leap into the air in a dark, rising cloud. Most arrows vanish in the wind. A few strike the jets, clinking harmlessly off composite armor. But the pilots feel it, the absurdity, the defiance. Thousands of men shooting wood and iron against machines made of stealth and fire, and somehow, it doesn't feel like victory. The F-35 seconds bank hard, climbing again through the smoke. Below them, the samurai beat their chests, roaring toward the heavens. The first attack should have shattered them, yet it only ignited something older, stronger, the will to defy the impossible. From the cockpit, Reed glances at his fuel gauge, already lower than expected. The radar flickers from heat distortion. The sky is no longer clear. Smoke, ash, and fire rise to meet them. What began as a one-sided strike is starting to feel like the opening move of a much longer, stranger war. Phase 2, when the distance closes. Smoke rolls across the valley like a living thing. The scent of burning earth and gunpowder hangs in the air. What moments ago was a clean, surgical strike has become chaos. A storm of fire, steel, and human voices. The F-35 seconds descend through the haze, hunting for new targets. But the sensors flicker, interference from heat, dust, and thick smoke. The battlefield below is no longer a map of clear shapes. It's a sea of confusion. The infrared feed shows hundreds of small heat spots, torches, burning armor, horses. The computers can't tell what's alive and what's already ash. Captain Reed steadies his jet, his voice calm but strained. Visual only, he says over comms. Lieutenant Harris dives below the clouds, skimming just a few hundred feet above the ground. The roar of his afterburner shakes the earth. Samurai scatter, some duck for cover, others stand their ground, loosing arrows toward the sky in blind defiance. A sudden gust hits. Rain begins to fall, light at first, then harder, turning the ground to mud. The radar loses lock completely. Harris curses. He switches to the cannon and fires in short, violent bursts. The tracers rip through the front ranks of the advancing samurai, cutting them down in streaks of light. But the rain keeps coming. The mud thickens. Arrows, drenched and heavy, start to fall faster than they fly. Yet somehow, the samurai push forward. The taiko drums still beat. The kiai shouts grow louder. Amid the downpour, they march, 20,000 hearts pounding, their voices swallowed by thunder. Then it happens. A sharp metallic crack. A lucky arrow, loosed by a veteran archer on a distant ridge, pierces a small vent on Harris's left wing. The jet jolts. Warning, fuel leak detected. The computer blares. He pulls up hard, but the F-35 shudders, smoke trailing behind it like a wounded dragon. Eject, eject! Reed's voice cuts through the storm. Harris pulls the handle. The canopy blasts away, and a burst of fire follows as his parachute blooms against the gray sky. Below, tens of thousands of samurai look up, watching the man fall from the heavens. When he hits the ground, the world explodes into motion. Samurai surge toward him from all directions, shouting in awe and fury. To them, this is no ordinary soldier. This is a god of thunder cast down to earth. High above, Captain Reed circles once more, the last F-35 alone in the storm. His radar is blind, his partner is gone, and below him waits an army that refuses to break. The distance has closed. The sky no longer belongs to him. Phase 3, the turning point. Rain hammers the valley like war drums from the heavens. The fire from the first strikes has turned to smoke, the smoke to fog, and now the fog to darkness. Only flashes of lightning reveal the scale of what remains. Craters, shattered armor, and thousands of men still pressing forward with unbroken will. Captain Reed flies low, his last F-35 slicing through the storm. His HUD is useless. Every sensor is blinded by weather and debris. He switches to manual. No radar. No targeting lock. Just instinct. He sees the orange glow of torches below, the samurai regrouping around something. Then he spots it. A parachute tangled in mud. Lieutenant Harris. Alive. Surrounded. Reed's jaw tightens. He banks hard, nose down, and dives. The Gao, 22 cannon, spits a stream of fire into the ground, scattering warriors like leaves. But there are too many. For every dozen that fall, 100 more charge. The thunder of hooves shakes the valley. 1,000 arrows rise into the air, forming a black storm against the lightning sky. From below, Harris crawls through the mud, pistol drawn. He fires, each shot a desperate echo against the sea of steel closing in. The samurai advance slowly, their faces calm. The code of Bushido has no word for fear. One warrior steps forward, his armor marked with the sigil of Takeda. He raises his sword in salute before striking. The F-35 roars past overhead, engines screaming as Reed empties his last rounds into the ground, buying his brother seconds of life. A stray arrow, or perhaps just fate, finds its mark, lodging deep in his engine intake. Flames bloom along the fuselage. The jet coughs, sputters, and begins to fall. Reed yanks the ejection handle. The sky bursts open. For a moment, he's weightless, drifting between fire and rain. Below him, the world is chaos. Samurai scattering as the crippled F-35 slams into the ground in a cascade of flame. The explosion rolls across the valley, scattering men and horses alike. Then, silence. When the smoke clears, the last jet lies in ruin. Its wing still burns faintly, glowing red against the rain. Around it, hundreds of samurai kneel, some in reverence, others in shock. The man who fell from the future has become part of their legend. Somewhere in that storm, Takeda Shingen looks to the sky, and bows his head. To him, this was not victory or defeat, it was destiny. A meeting of worlds, a test of gods and men. And as the rain finally stops, the valley of Kawanakajima is silent once more, except for the whisper of wind over steel. Final reflection. Who really wins? When the storm finally clears, the battlefield lies quiet. Smoke drifts in slow ribbons across the valley, mingling with the morning mist that once seemed so peaceful. The ground is torn apart, craters like open wounds, the scent of rain and burned metal hanging thick in the air. The F-35 seconds are gone. One buried in the mud, the other scattered in fragments across the hills. Their pilots, modern warriors with the power to level cities, have vanished into the legend of another age. Around the wreckage, thousands of samurai stand in stunned silence. Many have fallen, yet those who remain lift their blades skyward, honoring both their dead and the fallen strangers who came from the clouds. By every modern measure, the outcome seems obvious. The jets dominated the opening minutes, striking from beyond sight, unleashing weapons that no sword or arrow could ever counter. But technology, for all its brilliance, is bound by limits: fuel, ammunition, visibility, time. When those limits were reached, only courage remained, and courage belongs to both centuries. If the battle had lasted an hour longer, the samurai would have overrun the crash sites. If the weather had been clear, the F-35 seconds might have annihilated them all. In the end, victory belongs to neither. This was not a contest of strength. It was a mirror held between two eras. One side fought for precision, the other for purpose. Both fought for honor. So who truly wins? The pilots with the power of the future, or the warriors who face death without fear? Maybe the answer lies somewhere in the silence after the storm.